Hello and welcome back. A little bit of technical difficulties on the first time around, so if you're here back again, my apologies. If you're here for the first time, just ignore what I said. So I am back to doing battle reports. I've got a wealth of games that have been cut that I'm going to be getting to. I just did a lot of unlockings, and certainly you want to fit those in. I've got more set up, but several games with a number of different armies, from Undead to Sylvaneth to Beastclaw Raiders, playing against a variety of different opponents, and I'll of course be doing more. Certainly send in your requests if you have any others. This particular one is the Undead versus the Stormcast Eternals. So let's jump into it, and I will try to hopefully not have any other technical difficulties like I did before. So here we go. This is the battlefield. We are doing a take and hold. Take and hold is you divide the game board in half. 9 inches from your center is where there is an objective. The idea is to get a minimum of 5 models within 6 inches of either of these objectives, in which case you can you claim the objective. The only way to remove you from that objective is for your opponent to have the same, and then to remove you from that sphere. And if you claim both objectives, yours and your opponent's, then you will win the game if you do that by turn 3. It kind of gets you to get out of your deployment zone and try to force the action, which is what a lot of these scenarios are good for. By the way, just don't just play the scenarios in the match playbook. There are lots of scenarios that would work very well in match play, in the match play section of the General's Handbook. There's a lot of them that would work really very well, but you'll get sick of those 6 or 8 missions very quickly, much like we all have. Okay, so moving forward and trying to take a little bit less time than my first go around with this, here's the battlefield, and I'll go through some of the deployment once again. Here's from the opposite side. So my opponent has, a nice spectrum of Stormcast Eternals. So here he has, I think, 3 units, 3 each of the prosecutors. You're going to see some as we move across from left to right. He has decimators. He's got these 2 desolators, which are the 2 mounted guys. They're 1 unit, very tough, good armor, and hit like a truck and can have good staying power. He's got judicators, which are some more of his shooting units, the guys with the bows. He's got, I think, 1 or 2 units of liberators. I think there's 2 Lord Celestins. One has a Griffhound. And he has a unit of prosecutors and a unit of retributors. Those are the big lance guys, and then the ones with the maces. If you don't know Stormcast Eternals, and I'm sure plenty of you do, there's a lot of good armor here. A lot of times they get saves. There's a lot of ways to dish out mortal wounds. They are all multi-wound, so they're all hard to remove. These units are very hard to take out completely, and it's a hard shell to crack with. So you definitely have to bring some mortal wounds to the table, as well as anything that can rend. So yeah, here's the last picture of his side of the board. You can see that he has this nice battle line. He's certainly got a lot of stuff. There's no way I'm going to be able to summon stuff close enough that won't get destroyed outright from a whole manner of counterattacks. So I didn't opt to even take any summoning points to have various flexibilities of what I wanted to pick. By the way, you don't have to define summoning points when you build your lists. The reinforcement pool is nondescript. It's just a reinforcement pool. So don't let anybody hamstring you into doing that, because that would be a comp. Okay, you can comp it if you want, but that's not how it's done. Anyway, because I have a lot of tin cans here to kind of open up, I took the Morghast Archai, which there are 2 of. They have really good rend and good damage each shot. Wanted to kind of dissuade him from hitting me on the flank. I've got 1 of 3 units of zombies, total of 50 zombies here, so 2 units of 20, 1 unit of 10. My Vampire Lord, which is my general, the reason is because he can take battle traits and artifacts. I gave him the Ring of Immortality, so he has, if he does die, he gets die 3 more wounds. He has the battle trait that I took is it's of course the standard one. Any unit within 10 inches of a hero or the general gets a base 6-up additional bonus save after all your saves are done, and it functions against mortal wounds as well. It's a special save, so you have to take it against each wound after the multipliers are done, because it's after you've taken your standard regular saves. So then it's applied to each individual wound that you would take. But it can be compounded if you take this additional command trait, which adds a +1. Now, it used to be that it was red, that 5-up now modified would be from hero or general, but they FAQ'd it recently to just be within 10 inches of the general for the bonus. So I don't mind that. It's not that big of a deal. It does have a major restriction, but honestly, after playing this a few times, it's a pretty damn good save. There's times you can get 3 saves in some cases. Your armor save, maybe you have a special save on the unit because it has mortal wounds, and then you could have another save here that's against either of those wounds. So you could have 2 saves. There are times where you can kind of work out even getting a further one, but that's not so bad. But you do have to button up your army and keep it close to your general or at least a hero to get these bonuses. But they're really good to get against when it comes to enhancing, your either unarmored, lightly armored, or large quantity, units like zombies who have no save. So I'll get to those in a second. So I used those. The reason why I gave the Ring of Immortality is because that really puts a lot of staying power on my general. And my general already has 14 wounds. He's got a 3-up base save. He can't get a bonus because he's a monster from being on terrain. He doesn't give a cover bonus. I can give him a Mystic Shield to give him a 2+, but I want to try and make him hard to take out because he's the linchpin of a lot of things that I want to do. And as well as this army-wide save, basically, if I'm within range, if the units are within range of him. He's got a Chalice to restore die 6 wounds. He can restore wounds if he kills models. Plus, he's got that Ring of Immortality. There's a lot that's keeping this guy alive, so he can absorb a whole lot of punishment. Then moving to the left here, I've got the other 2 units of zombies. I've got Arc in the Black. I did not make him my general for a very specific reason. He's a good caster, casts 2 spells a turn, but also he can't take command traits and artifacts. He can only use the basic battle trait because he's a named character. That's a very specific rule in the match playbook. By the way, this is 2,000 points, so we're trying to stick to the rules as much as possible, and in the vein of with the idea of testing out match play. So moving forward, I have my Morghast. So this is one of my 2 Morghasts that I have. They're scary on the battlefield, 400 points. They worth every point though. They can mitigate some shooting and hit and matter of fact, all hit rolls if they're close by get reduced based on whether or not you have high bravery or not. If you have a 6 bravery or under, you're -2 all hitting, shooting, and hit rolls. And if you're a 7 or higher, it's only a -1. But hey, it's a -1. That's pretty damn good. 10 wounds. No rend is possible on him because he's ethereal, so he walks around with a 3-up armor save. So if you throw up a Mystic Shield, you can make it a 2-up. Again, it's unmodifiable. He's got his own defense against mortal wounds at a 4-up. He can heal. And in addition to that, he does do some pretty good damage with a -2 rend. He's got a 2 wound for each shot. He's got 8 shots, 8 attacks. Not bad, not bad at all. In addition, you can the army-wide bonus is on top of that, so we can get 2 armor saves or 2 mortal saves. That's pretty damn good. So yeah, he's going to command some scariness on the battlefield. Then I have this Mortis Engine. The reason why the Mortis Engine is here is for that pulse that can do that can do damage to your opponents, plus the potential for once per game to restore wounds, because I have a couple monsters here. I want to make sure that I can restore if they start taking hits. There's a lot of different ways I can restore wounds if these guys are getting hurt. The corpse cart, my general is the Vampire Lord. I want to get back to the corpse cart really quickly. This corpse cart is shown here. This is, well, you can't really see it that well. It's there because I'm going to merge my zombies from those 3 units into one big 50-man unit. Zombies are not that scary with just a few of them, even just 10 or 20. They get +10 to wound and to hit. Hit and wound for every 10 they have, up to 30. So they start off with 6 up, which sucks. I mean, 6 is to hit, 6 is to wound. They have no armor to speak of, no rend, and 1 wound each, which is just not that big of a deal. 60 points for 10 of them is, it's really cheap. You start getting lots of them, then just like any zombie horde, they're a little bit scarier, and that's really fluffy. It's really good storytelling and for good mechanics to kind of figure that out. But you could really make them up. People would have to really start thinking about what are they going to do about this now 50-man unit that now is striking on a 2+, because they have 3 from the accelerators quantity, +3 to hit, +3 to wound, and that corpse cart in proximity, close right up next to the zombies, gives them another further +1, which is incredible. So, you know, you only want to attack each, but then when you have 5 or 8 or 10 of them on, you know, they're able to attack in a turn, and more, you know, but across an entire front, you know, people are going to fail saves. They're going to fail saves. They're going to do wounds. So they usually do well, especially in large groups. I've got about 120 of these. I, you know, didn't think I was going to field them once match play came, at least for those types of games. Now I can't imagine not taking 50 of them at least, because it gives you a pad of like 20 before you lose that first accelerator. In any case, again, my general is my vampire lord. Here is the objective on my side of the table, and there's the objective on my opponent's. My opponent's general is the Celestant, which is right next to the Gryph-hound, and we go and roll for turn 1, and I get the first turn. So the first thing I do, of course, is merge my zombies. Now 3 of them become 1 unit. So they get the maximum accelerating potential, and then I make them unbreakable. Why? Because zombies die in droves. Why? I mean, I have a 10 bravery, so it's going to be hard for them to, for me to lose them from battle shock anyway. But they're going to die in great numbers, and I want to be able to have at least a chance to mitigate some of that or delay it, and tar pit my opponent and give him some reasons why he should not engage them, because it's going to be hard for him to get out of there. Put a Mystic Shield on my generals because he can't get a benefit from terrain, so he's now sitting at a 2-up save, and then I start moving everything up. So this big lore, 50 unit zombies starts moving up. That's my battle line. I have them about roughly 2 deep in most cases, you know, just alternating so I can have, you know, I just cover some terrain. It's going to be hard for him. He's going to get around these guys, and it gives me an opportunity to kind of, you know, move into, you know, just prevent him from ending any of his movements within range of this before I can counterattack with some of my big stuff, which is sitting behind, just behind the zombies. And then, of course, I moved up my Mourngul, just basically saying, come at me, bro. Come at me. Come on. This guy is going to be really hard to take out. Wounds or mortal wounds. So I move him up, just looking, just begging him to hopefully try to charge him next turn, because then I'll be able to just move in with a variety of things if anything does. On this front, I kind of was, you know, was very conservative. I put the Archai in the forest so they can get it. They're not monsters. They can get a +1 benefit. Not getting any. I don't care about terrain for the cover for the zombies. It would be possible to get them all in at 50 in a long battle line like this, but it doesn't matter. They don't have a base save. The only thing I'm banking on is that allegiance rule, which gives them a 5-up unmodifiable against any wound type, which is not bad at all. All right, so that's basically my turn. Turn 1 for the Stormcast. He starts moving some of his guys up, but he's very conservative. This guy's fairly new to the game. He's played a lot of 40K for many years. He's fairly new to Age of Sigmar. I don't think he played in the previous, you know, in 8th edition or earlier editions, but he's getting the hang of it. But he's playing a little timid because I think he knows death. He knows some of what these guys can do, and I think he's concerned. But I think he played a little bit too conservative at this point because he really didn't move much of anything. He just kind of consolidated, tried to position some of his guys in front of the terrain so that I could not gain any benefit on a potential charge. So he's just got his battle line of his own type. You can see here how he did that. And really very little on turn. He did some shooting. I think a lot of it was he missed or failed. He just flubbed some of his rolls. But I think he was targeting Arkin the Black specifically to try and bring him down, which is not a bad idea. So the next turn, I think with his shooting, he does take away the corpse cart, which is smart because the corpse cart doesn't have really any good armor. It's a 6-up base. It's going to have the allegiance benefit. This is my corpse cart here, not fully completed. As you can see, a lot of my army is still in various different stages that I'm working on once I finish my Sylvaneth, so apologies. But at least it's not gray, just bare gray. You know, it only has 6 wounds, but it's good right there. If you can eliminate it, he takes out the potential for a +1 to hit, and I think to wound on the zombies. So that's gone. First blood goes to him, and he shoots off some of the zombies, which I don't think was a smart idea because I can recover them pretty quickly. But, you know, he wanted to try and reduce them. I think he was hoping that, you know, he could try to, you know, drop them maybe 10 or so. And when we finally do get into action, then he'll, you know, have already a bunch that have been already missing, and I'll lose some of those benefits. But, you know, these restore die 6 per turn, and if they kill anything, they get a chance to restore 1 on a 6. So up to their maximum in match play, though, so that, you know, it's not going to be any more than 50. But yeah, they can get back to that starting point pretty quickly if you don't stay on them. So that's the whole point. Turn 2, I believe it comes to me. Arkin the Black goes ahead. I believe he puts a Mystic Shield on the Mourngul, which again now he's at 2-up, which is awesome. He's got, I use Curse of Years. I'm within range to get, I just get, I think, one of his units. I think there was just this Judicator unit, which is shooting, and I got to try and knock it down in shooting. So I think I might have removed one guy and put a wound on another, and it didn't continue to do enough damage after that. So move up my Morngul, just right up in his grill. Sorry for the blurry picture here. And there wasn't much of else to do. We go to turn 3, and he wins the turn. He goes ahead and he moves up just the flyers. Now, I think he should have moved up some more of these guys. I think he moved in the center some of his liberators to try and get behind that the tower. But he moved these guys up, all 3 of them. I think to try and make sure that he stayed within range to get at to shoot at Ark in the Black. Not a bad idea, but he's right up where I can easily get just a no-brainer charge. But what he didn't realize is that this guy, and I've gone over each and every one of these units like I usually do with any new player, but with anybody in general, to tell them what kind of stuff that I have so that they're not surprised. So this guy incurs a severe penalty on his shooting. And I missed a shot here. So they didn't really do much. He goes again, he moves these liberators up, I guess he consolidates a little more on this side, but still a bit timid. But he unloads with everything he has, and even with the minuses, he manages to get 5 wounds off of Ark in the Black, which is a scary thing because now I'm almost half dead. So, actually no, 4 wounds. But yeah, it's still a substantial amount. I've dropped a couple of tiers. His ability to bind to cast spells slightly gets reduced. I mean, it's almost a guarantee. With a +2, he gets a +1 from the corpse cart. Another nice benefit of the corpse cart. You can either make it a -1 to your opponent for their casting or +1 within range. I think it's 18 inches. And then the Archai, the 2 guys, the big halberds on the other side, also give you a +1. So the Ark of the Black was getting like a +4 to rolls, and which is fantastic. So anything with Snake Eyes are really just obnoxiously low rolls would not have failed. And as he gets weaker, obviously that becomes a little bit less capable. So I turned my Morngul a little bit back and try and pay attention to these guys. I just wanted to prevent him, if he was going to move any of these guys forward in the later point. Actually, no, I think this is his turn. So I think there was combat here, and I managed to kill off immediately one of these 3 units. Yes, this is what happened here. One of the 3 units of these flyers, and I think what happens is these guys were out of range, and there was very little going on here. Maybe I lost a few of the zombies, but saved a bunch because of the 5-up save from the allegiance abilities. We go to turn 3, my side. I take the Mystic Shield instead of putting it on my Vampire Lord, who's on the other side of the table from the action right now. Throw it on Ark in the Black because I'm a little worried that he might get just bombarded with lots of shooting again. Wanted to give him at least a little more padding with his armor save because I think he only has a 4-up. And he doesn't have anything against mortal wounds, but I wasn't getting dished with mortal wounds. But I wanted to make that a 3-up to try and save. I have a 5-ups again for mortal wounds because of the allegiance ability. Start moving everything a little bit over to this side. Again, sorry for the blurry picture. I wanted to get my Coven Thrones in the mix, kept him on this piece of terrain here because, again, he's not a monster. You can get the benefit of +1 from the cover save. Do not get that with the Vampire Lord, but wanted to try and get some of that Pestilence Breath and then maybe even a potential charge, but wanted to keep within range of these guys, maybe even potentially from of the Morngul if I can possibly do that. But it seems like the action is swinging on this side, and I've got the Archai on the other side with enough of the zombies that if I really need to, with fast moving, certainly I could get across there if I needed to. But he seems to be very concerned about those Archai, which is right here. I move them more towards the center. If I needed to cave in this, pull back from, because he's slow moving, he's not going to be right up on me very quickly. Still outside of what would be a reasonable charge range, even after he did a regular move. So it gives me some time. If I needed to move the Archive over to the left, they're now more towards the center. They're protecting also the objective, but I have the zombies within 6 inches of the objective, enough of them. And if I need to move back by the end of turn 3 or later in the game, they're there. But I can push this back and fold it back if he tries to push on this side of the board. So the Morngul moves to the outside here. I really don't want to get to finish up these flyers because I think I have other solutions for them. I want to go after the guys in the back, which they have the big 2-handed weapons, and those guys can do tons of damage. And with the big Ren they have, they're not going to affect the Morngul as much. So I move him up there for a potential charge. I think what happens is I do take out these flyers. So I remove another 3 flyers off the table. So, clear them out again. They're really posing a threat to Arkin, and I do not want him to disappear. And we go to turn 4. So turn 4, I get the first turn. Again, I put the Mystic Shield back on Arkin the Black. And then he goes and he casts his Curse of Years, and I drop it on this unit of Liberators. So I think I killed 1 or 2, and then 1 room left. Not that bad. Decide I want to move up a little bit further. I can't move up the zombies. The zombies are one big line. They're in combat. The only thing they can do is start folding in, piling in towards the nearest enemy model that they're in combat with. And the only one is this one friggin' last remaining Judicator flyer. The rest of the unit can actually stay where they are as long as I maintain cohesion, which is this long battle line. But otherwise, they can't advance further up the field, which is fine. I don't mind that. But I move some of these guys further around. I'm trying to get Arkin the Black where he can maybe charge this one guy. Because if I could do a wound on him, I can also recover a wound. That's one of the benefits that a lot of these big models have. You kill something, you regenerate. Move up my my Archai. Now, I see that he's not pressing forward. It's getting later in the game. I want to see if I can try to clear off some of his models, do some damage. And now if one guy doesn't one of us take over one of the objectives, well, what's going to happen is it's going to come down to what you destroyed and how much you didn't get destroyed on your side. So I need to do some damage. So I need to go off on the offensive here and do that. I don't think he's gonna be able to get to my objective. He's just not quick enough and he doesn't push forward early enough in the game. So I can take some chances here. Plus, I want to make it an interesting game. I don't want to make it a boring game. So I move my Vampire Lord up here. He's not getting the benefit of the terrain. Again, he's a monster, but I want to keep him close enough where this action is to give the 10-inch range so that both of these guys get an extra 5+ unmodifiable save, which really is pretty powerful. So I charge in and successfully get my Archai into the unit of Liberators. The Morn Gull gets into, I think I think it's the Mace or Axe Wielders. They have like 3 wounds apiece. They do some serious damage. And get my Vampire Lord up there, but he wants to go charge. I failed to charge. So what? It's not that big of a deal. Let him come at me. I'll be happy with that. So I remove the entire Liberator unit. I think there's a secondary unit that's behind there, but now my Archai are just really. I'm almost sacrificing these guys, but they're tough enough at 6 wounds apiece. I feel that they can. They can survive for a while. I might lose them, but they're only 240 points for these 2 guys, and he's just kind of they're going to absorb some damage. Plus, they're going to open some cans. So I don't mind losing them and trading for some of this. Plus, this is going to blunt his speed for potentially getting back to my backfield. This one last guy just won't die. I mean, look, it's zombies. I mean, they're hitting on I think 2+. No, I think it's 3+ now. Wounding on 3+. There's not a lot of them. I really can't swarm him because I'm kind of stuck. All I can do is pile in, and I have to maintain cohesion. And then I've got the Mortis Engine, which doesn't do a lot really in hand-to-hand combat. It's got it's more zombie attacks is really what it is. It's got the Spirit, 2d6 attacks from that, and the Corpse Master or the Necromancer that sits up on top of it. Just not a lot of physical hand-to-hand damage, and I don't want to waste any of these shots otherwise on him. So yeah, he's still there. We get to about bottom of turn 4. He moves these 2 shooters so he can still get in range to shoot at and he's just going to sacrifice them, I think. But he wants to just be able to pluck some more shots off an Arkin, so he's in range. He charges in, moves, and then charges. He gets a whole bunch of stuff around my Archive, plus these 2 Decimators, which he couldn't get both of them up on my my General. So one of them is next to the Archive. That's fine. He's going to be one of my main focal points to try and attack because these guys have great armor. He's got the 2+ armor on them because of some bonus that he has. He's only able to inflict 1 wound on my General, which was awesome. And I think I only got 1 wound inflicted on one of the Archive. I don't know how that happened. The Archive, I think it was because he only activated that unit, that Decimator unit, and I think one of them went after my Archive. I go and I fight back and destroy his Lord Celestant. This was not his General. It was the extra guy, I think the guy with the lantern. He fights back with another unit, and after just attrition, kills off one of my Morghast Archive. My fight back kills an Archive. I don't know if this is from my General. It might have been. And we finally kill the Judicator that's sitting in the backfield here. And we get to turn 5. So turn 5, I believe he gets the first turn. Yep, he gets the first turn and finishes off the last Archive. I think he had like 2 wounds on him. And so 2 wounds or 4 wounds left, not enough for this big horde. And these lancers come in. They had a star mace with them, just walked right through them, even with all the saves. And so I'm okay with that. I mean, look, they did their job, held these guys up. Only 240 points, and I think they got their points back for the most part. But one of them killed one of these decimators, and my Vampire Lord cleaned up the rest, which is great. He's only sitting on 1 wound right now, and I think that he usually healed back. And then we're at the point where, there's a bottom of turn 5. There's nothing else that he can do. He's not going to get to me. I'm certainly not going to get to him. We didn't even do the bottom of my turn, because if we just looked at the amount of stuff that was killed on both sides, I had a huge advantage, and now it's my turn. So spells and charges and just being able to pick and choose who goes first, and the staying power of the Morghast, which was untouched, the fact that my Vampire Lord now is also backed up to full with the 1 wound being restored, with all the abilities for him to actually regain them. He's just not enough firepower to do enough damage to me. I lost and by the way, any damage that was done on my zombies, except for the 1 or 2 guys you could see in the back there, they were being restored, because my banner regenerates 1d6 each of my turns on my hero phase. So they were just recovering the little amounts of wounds that were done to them. So I lost my corpse card. I lost both of the Archai. Not a bad trade-off. This is what he lost. He lost his Decimators. He lost a unit of Liberators. He lost a couple of the Axe Wielders. Lost all of his 3 units of Judicators. Lost one of his Lord Celestants. Lost the shooters, Justicars, I think they are. So quite a bit of damage done to them at the end of turn 5. It was pretty clear. I think he had less than 1,000 points out of his 2,000 left. So it ultimately, what it came down to is just in terms of points of potential, it was a win for the undead. A couple of reflections as I get back to the first screens here is that, that 5-up, even if it's just a 6-up, it's not bad. It's just not bad. All right. You're losing lots of things with undead. Your summoning is much more limiting. It's not as crazy and maybe a little bit overpowered in terms of the mechanic that it would be in open. I think it's a little bit too much, because it's not worth a lot of summoning, especially with some of the people who try to neuter it even further with comping the fact that you have to have a static list on your reinforcement pool. Not a rule, guys, not a rule. You want to do it that way, fine, but it's not the way it works. The whole benefit of the reinforcement pool is that it's flexible. You can summon from anything. That's why they FAQ'd that casters can cast any of spells available, not just the ones on War Scrolls Deployed. Well, the whole point of that then is that you can then summon anything. There's a lot of reasons why that's the case. I'm not going to go into it in the whole tirade or rant here, but hey, with all the limitations for summoning, and rightly so, it was a little out of control for match play. You needed to bring it back. I think it went a little bit too far, but with that in mind, I just let's not go too crazy with that any further. But with what do they get? What does the army get? The Death Army, Death Faction? You get that 6-up for everybody, as long as you're close to a hero or general, and you get the 5-up if you take that trait, if you're within 10 of the general. That 5-up static roll is not bad, because it's on the tail end of everything else. After you go through any of your saves, then you get that. And units like zombies who don't have any saves now get a 5-up if they stick close to your general, or your general's within 10 inches of them. That's a great trade-off. I think that's a worthy trade-off. It really gave me a ton of staying power. Apart from maybe some mistakes made on both my opponent and my part in terms of this trying to fight the scenario, I really didn't feel like I was underpowered. I felt like I could dictate where I could take the fight, but I also felt that if I got in there, he could dish out, he'd wipe through the Morghasts in one turn. But look what they were up against, and I think they dished out enough damage that there was a worthy trade-off. If he had come in, I think he would eventually have walked right through all these zombies, but I think my counterattack would have made mincemeat out of whatever was left, or in conjunction with what all that fighting was. But it was a fun game. It was an enjoyable game, but it was a good illustration of just what you need to do to try and overcome and fight the incredible defensive power of the Stormcast. But also, there are lots of different lists that you can build with a Death Faction. You don't have to just stay within a sub-faction to try and get, certain types of battle line units. Even just taking 30 zombies and just combining them into one, 3 units of 10 and combining them into 1 unit of 30 is worthy to try to get your minimum battle line. Of course, I think that a 50 is a minimum. If you're going to take zombies, I think you should take 50, because you got that 20 buffer before it gets reduced. And of course, a corpse card is nice, because getting that 2+ is pretty sweet, I have to admit. In any case, I hope you enjoyed it, everybody. Stay tuned for a bunch of unlockings coming up, as well as over the course of the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have a bunch more. I've got about 4 or 5 of these Batreps of various different types with a bunch of different of the matched play pitched battle scenarios, just to try and test them out, show what they're like. I do encourage people to try and experiment with different ones that some of the different, there's a couple 100 of these throughout the scenario books. They work just as fine, just as well in matched play. Just use matched play rules. And with matched play, yeah, there's some issues in terms of balancing, but I think for the most part, it's a really effective and great way if you want to have a balanced game. I know plenty of people, most people, in fact, that I know are just using the points, not really so much some of these other restrictions, but just to try and keep the game a little bit more reasonable in terms of having a fair on both sides, but not going so far as to try and adopt maybe some of the other rules, like the limitations on summoning or other things. I don't know. It depends on your preference, but if you want to stick to a tournament-style game, that's what I'm going to try and accentuate with this series. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great day, everybody.